I've chosen this specific spot because I want to compare it to a picture I took in 2011. The level now at the pump station, well, let's look at 2011 and then I'm going to explain the difference. So in 2011 you could see where the water line was, just below that door, roughly 400 millimeters below the bottom of that door. Now it's now at 6.8 and 7 correlates to Prieska 7. Prieska is now at 7.25 meters. And it's at the peak now. The peak predicted now was 5,600 if you combine the two dam outflows from the dams. But apparently that's not the actual number. Currently Prieska and Katlani is predicting something like 4,500. Which means it doesn't correlate with whatever is measured at Neesberg or Blowpits or the dams. And we don't really know. A lot of the measuring stations are non-functional or inaccurate. What we do know is that at Prieska it's now 7.25 and we're going to reach the peak at Prieska now, today, tomorrow. So that's going to be a peak of around 7.3. 7.3 for us is no problem here. And hopefully that correlates. We're not exactly sure above 7 meters because it's wider at Prieska than here. There's less trees and stuff, like not like what we have in the island here. Inside the river it's one stream. Here it's a couple of streams. We'll see how it correlates. But there's really a serious need for the Department of Water and Sanitation to repair the measuring stations, to get them right, to calibrate them, to take all this data, all these readings, because from all the readings from all the different stations, if you have all of that, and they do have it, you can calibrate the different stations to give you the same reading. So even if your actual reading is completely out, at least you have a comparison with existing measuring marks for people to use to predict where the river is going. Anyway, rant over. We have about 3 days of rise left for us here, but if we look at what has happened at Prieska, the rate of rise and the way that it tends to flatten out slightly as it moves downstream, I think we are safe, we are fine. I think 7.25, looking at what's happening up there, maybe a little bit different. The dam levels, all the dams have reached the peak and started dropping seriously. I'm not going to show it here now. When I have a bit more time, I'll do a proper update with showing all the different readings on the dams. But like I said, a lot of them don't really mean anything. It's just a way to compare it to what you've experienced in the past. In that way, it still means something. Anyways, apart from that, I have some very good footage that I took in Kakamash of the river, the islands, the farming there, and what people are expecting with the flood. So let's look at that. So I got permission from a farmer on the river bank here near Grabish to enter on his farm and get some footage from here. And he's busy, and I'll show it in the end of the video if I can. He's busy beefing up some levees higher up. He says it might be unnecessary, but he's taking the precaution to just strengthen the weakest points. As you can see here, the water is already very close to the level of the fields. And I'm going to quickly send the drone up. But what I want to film here is what you see there are islands, on very large islands in the Orange River, on which farming there is covering most of the island. So let's just see what it looks like here. In this area there's already quite a bit of grape vineyards that's underwater. Now looking at the farmer downstream here who is strengthening his levees, I stopped and spoke to him, and it's very apparent that Department of Water Affairs has let us down. The volume of water flowing into the Vaal Dam was known. Measuring stations, some of which are non-operational due to neglect, have given us enough information still to calculate that you could release water from Bloemhof Dam much earlier and manage the dam level at least down to 90% instead of keeping it at 100%, so that you have more flood controllability, especially when you have cyclones inbound and forecast for heavy rains. You don't have to rely on the heavy rains to give you enough water for the possibly coming drought years, but you know that you have enough water in the Vaal Dam and inflow into the Vaal Dam. From that you can fill the Bloemhof Dam again, so you can release more water from the Bloemhof Dam.